Today we're going to be taking a close look at ElevenLabs Conversational AI v2. This new release brings some big improvements to how natural and interactive AI voice agents can be. And specifically in this video, I'm going to be walking you step by step on how to build your own conversational AI voice agent that can interact with your website. So here, not just chatting, but navigating through different pages, clicking buttons. Could you direct me to the pricing page?
I can do that. Opening our pricing page now.
And if you're curious about building with AI or just want to see what's possible nowadays with voice AI, stick around. I think you'll find this very interesting. But before we get into anything, let's set the context here. Imagine your site has visitors asking about pricing, booking demos, or needing support at any hour. What if you could embed an AI voice agent that not only answers, but can actually do things like opening the pricing or booking page, or even submitting a form for the user, all by voice command? This is exactly what web-based voice agents enable, fully interactive, all by voice command. And today, I'll walk you through how this works, how we built it, and the pitfalls you'll want to avoid. But first, let's see this in action with a simple website I spun up in a few minutes, and then we'll get into how I built it. Got the homepage, which is a fake company I had made, a brief description of what we do. Got a pricing page, then we got a booking page with a cal.com embedded calendar here. This voice agent is going to be able to direct my browser through these various pages on my command. We're gonna go hands off here, guys. Watch this. You'll note down here in the bottom right, we have our widget. This is our voice agent. So we're gonna start a call.
Hello, how can I help you today?
Hey man, could you give me a really brief description of what Acme AI does?
Absolutely. Acme AI helps businesses automate customer conversations using AI-powered voice agents. These agents provide human-like interactions 24/7, instantly and intelligently responding to customer inquiries. Does that give you a good overview?
Absolutely. Could you direct me to the pricing page?
I can do that. Opening our pricing page now. You should now be on the pricing page. It outlines the features of the starter, pro, and enterprise plans. Is that the info you needed?
Absolutely, man. How do I book a demo? Could you direct me there?
I can do that. Opening our booking page now. You should now be on the booking page where you can schedule a 15-minute chat with one of our voice agent experts. Is that what you were looking for?
Yes, sir. Thank you for your help, man.
You're welcome. Is there anything else I can help you with today?
That's all.
Okay, have a great day.
Cheers. That was sick. It was almost magical. It's guiding myself, the user, through the various stages of a website. And a website's typically set up, for this process. Show them a bit about the business, their products, and then how they can buy. So a call to action. So it'll be a buy button, or it'll be a demo button, or a schedule button. And what we had just seen there is all through voice command, our voice agent was able to control our browser to make it a much more interactive experience. So quite magical there. What we're going to do now is we're going to jump straight into ElevenLabs, my agent build and how to build it. And then we're going to jump into the code side where we embed this agent in our HTML and create a simple script that is able to empower your voice agent with these redirect functions where we can execute JavaScript on the user's browser. So over here on ElevenLabs Conversational AI, we can begin to build out this agent and build your own agent following my step-by-step guide here. First and foremost is if you're embedding this on a website for the purposes of knowledge retrieval, we want a corpus of knowledge about your specific website. So let's first go to the knowledge base section. And what we can do here is we can add a URL of our website that already exists. Now, mind you, the site I had created is locally ran. It won't be able to scrape this, but if you were to have a live website, you would just put your URL in here and it's going to create a corpus of knowledge based on the scraped data of that website. So put your URL in here and bang, you have a knowledge base of your website. Very, very easy. Now, what I'm going to do is, and I've already done this, uploaded a knowledge base based on the website you had just seen. And you can do that by adding a file. It can be an EPUB, PDF, doc, TXT, or HTML file, or you can go ahead and create your own knowledge base just by typing in plain text here. So when you have a knowledge base, that contains the contents of your website, we're already good to go. We're just going to head over to the Agents tab, and we're going to create a new agent. We're going to choose a blank agent because I'm going to show you how I prompt my agents and what's recommended to create a very powerful prompt. We're going to hit blank agent. We can name this. Let's call it Sammy. Create our agent. Very simple process with this V2 here. Now we have 6 tabs, which all pertain to the construction of our voice agent, whether that's deployed via a phone line or via web like we're doing today. Now the agent side is, think about the first part of our voice agent pipeline where we have transcription parsed into an LLM, parsed into a voice synthesis model like ElevenLabs. And ElevenLabs Conversational AI V2 does a really good job at this pipeline. So bringing all those components together, but I digress. Anyway, our agent, we can set the language. So I'm going to leave it as English. We can set additional languages in which our voice agent can switch during conversation if it detects other languages. Won't get into that today. I want to make this very straightforward on setting up your own web agent as you saw in the demo. So we're going to jump straight to the first message. As you would have heard in the demo, this is what our agent spoke. I'm going to leave that as is, but you can put in whatever you want here. You can say, "Hi, my name is Sammy. How can I help you today?" Or, "Hi, my name is Sammy from XYZ. How can I help you today?" The next point we're going to do is we're going to set a system prompt. And firstly, we can describe the desired agent. We're going to call this web agent. You don't really have to put this here, but it helps. Now, ElevenLabs in specific recommends a 6 building block approach when it comes to prompting. And those, put simply, are number 1, personality. So that's going to be defining the agent's personality. The next one is going to be the environment. So this is where it actually sits. In what environment is this agent operating? The third is going to be the tone. How should it actually speak to the user? What are some conversational nuance and intonation that we should use for this agent to be able to sound realistic and so forth? The next one is going to be the goal. What is the overall goal of our agent? What are we looking to achieve during conversation? And finally, we have 2 more, which is going to be guardrails and tools. So guardrails is sort of parameters. What shouldn't the agent do during conversation, right? And then tools is going to be what tools do we need to invoke during the conversation to be able to facilitate, for example, this changing and redirecting of URLs. Now there's 2 types of tools that we can add here. One is a webhook based tool in which we're sending certain payload details to an external server for processing and then returning back to the agent. And the second one is a client-based tool where we're executing JavaScript within the user's browser or their own environment. And that's what we're going to be adopting today. Now, I've got another video with an appointment booker using ElevenLabs V1, which is still appropriate for today, which I use these webhook based tools. We're not going to do that today. So we have this 6 building blocks in which we can start to map out now. Now to save a bit of time, speed the process up, and I'm going to leave the prompt in the description below, so don't worry about that. We're going to set our personality. So you're a site guide for Acme AI, let's call it, a friendly, knowledgeable voice assistant for a 3-page demo. You're an upbeat, patient, laser focused, and helping visitors, blah, blah, blah. Basically setting the personality, who it is, how it should interact with the user. Next, we're going to set the environment. So this is going to be really important for our specific application where we're routing through different pages. We need to set the page URLs here so it has some contextual understanding of its environment in which it sits in, right? So for here, we can put in something like this. You converse live through our conversational AI widget embedded on every page. And those pages are as follows. When we're building this out, take note of the specific pages you want to load into this agent, and specifically where we want to place this within, our communication context and situational factors, e.g. under this environment block here. You may have 10 or 12 different pages, and therefore you would need to appropriately outline that here. Today we have 3 simple pages. We're just going to set that here. index, pricing, booking, and that's what you saw in the demo. Next, we can set our tone. So what is the tone of our agent? We can simply put responses are clear, concise, conversational, usually under 3 sentences, sprinkling brief affirmations, got it, absolutely. Filler words, actually, basically, so to sound natural. Pause with ellipses for better text-to-speech delivery, and emphasize key points verbally. You match the visitor's expertise, blah, blah, blah. Sort of setting out sentence structures and how it should respond specifically to a user. Next, we're going to put our goal. So what is it the overall task that it should achieve? So let's map this out. Basically here, we're just doing an assessment of what the user wants to do on our website. Now, this is a very basic website, so we're just there to facilitate information retrieval, right? So we're going to do initial assessment where we identify the intent of the user, whether they want to learn features, compare tiers, or book a demo, or just navigate through the website. We're going to gauge technical level by vocabulary used, noting urgency signals, just some stock standard stuff. And again, this prompt is in the description below. Next, we're going to put our guardrails. What are the guardrails or parameters that we need to add to an agent so it stays pretty specific to the application at hand, which is directing a user through a web page and then performing some information retrieval, right? So we're going to say stay on topic, only cite content and its navigation. If uncertain, omit it. Never reveal implementation details. We don't really have any of this. Keep language natural, avoiding jargon. Do not provide unethical, blah, blah, blah. No one cares about that. Finally, we want our tools. And this, you could argue, is the most important part when it comes to our system prompt. What are the tool names that we need to use with this agent to be able to direct and navigate through a client's browser? Now, I'm going to show you the tool creation process in just a moment, but what we need to do is specifically give the tool name and a description of the tool. So our tool name that we're going to create in just a second is going to be redirect to external URL, where we open a specified path in the tab, and we're using a URL as a parameter, which is a string, and it's required, and we're only using this tool for explicit navigation requests as outlined above. Now, we should probably add in an additional block here on what navigation requests may we get by a user. So we can come back up here to perhaps under the environment, or probably under goal, we can add something like navigation assistant. So we're gonna call again this tool name only when the visitor explicitly wants to change pages. If they ask for prices or plans, call this tool with URL pricing.html. Remember the backlink pages that I showed you in the demo. If they want to schedule, we're going to direct to this. If they want to go home or back, schedule back, redirect to the index. After the tool executes, confirm with one sentence, opening our pricing page now, or something like that. On arrival, summarize key content of the new page. Let's go ahead and save this agent down the bottom here. And that's our prompt done. That's really how simple it is to now create voice agents with ElevenLabs v2, and not much has changed here. For our LLM provider, let's just use something not so latent, Gemini 2.0 Flash. We're going to keep the temperature as more creative. Now, the lower you go, the more deterministic it is. The higher you go, the more creative it is. So controlling our LLM inferencing here in terms of output. We're going to leave this, not change anything. Token limit usage, let's leave that. Now, importantly, we want to add our knowledge corpus. So I'm going to add a document here, and this is our site that we had scraped, right? Okay, now we've got a list of different tools we can also assign to this agent. Now with V2, we have some native tools here. We've got end call, detect language, skip turn, transfer to agent, transfer to a number, or play keypad touch tone. Now these bottom three we're not going to worry about, as well as detect language. What we will enable here is end call, as well as skip turn. Now what skip turn does is the agent will skip its turn if user explicitly indicates they need a moment. So perhaps we get redirected to a page and we just want to look to it. We don't want to talk to the agent. We just want to look at the pricing. So we'll say something like, just give me a moment while I look at this. This is going to skip the agent turn and remain silent. This makes the conversation feel much more natural than continuous back and forth turn taking, right? So we'll save that. Now, importantly here, we're going to add a custom tool. And if we hit add tool, all your existing tools will pop up here. And you'll see we can add two types of tools. And this is what I had mentioned before. One would be a webhook tool, and another is a client tool. So client tools are browser-based or client-facing environment tools to perhaps give them pop-ups, alert messages, things like that. And because our web agent exists in the client's browser environment, we want to add a client tool. So we're going to add that tool and we can start to build this out. Remember what our name was. It was redirect to external URL. And you can name it exactly like this if you're using the prompt I gave in the description. So redirect to external URL. This is the tool name that we're going to be calling. Now we're going to put in a description here. So when should this tool be used? We're going to say something like use only when visitors explicitly asked to navigate. So prices and plans are URL equal to this. Okay, and these are almost like our parameters that we're passing into the tool. So as long as you put inside curly braces, quotation marks, URL, end quotes, semicolon, quotes, and then the backlink of the page, we're good to go. And to do that for all pages in which the user would ask explicitly, say book, scheduled demo, we're going to that, home, back, start, we're going to that. After the call, say one short confirmation sentence. Awesome. Now what we need to do is add the actual parameters, and this is going to be a placeholder parameter that an LLM infers by the user's speech, and I'll show you what I mean in a moment. So we're going to hit add parameter, and the identifier here is, if you guessed it, is going to be our URL. Okay, so we'll type URL here, and this is definitely required. We need this to be able to appropriately navigate the user's browser. So identifier is going to be URL, and we're going to use the value type LLM prompt. Basically, this means an LLM is populating our parameter values. We can say absolute or relative URL to open, e.g. / pricing. So give it an example of a page that it's actually opening. And now our agent has this tool attached with it, and we know we've given it context into when it should invoke this tool. So again, putting the name directly in the system prompt, and here we sort of defined when it should use that tool. So we can hit save on that. And as far as the agent structure goes, that's all good. We're good to go. Next thing you might want to change is the voice, but we're going to leave this the same. But with ElevenLabs, you have thousands upon thousands of voices to choose from. And if you're not already aware, they just released a really new model, which isn't available yet in Conversational AI, but it's their API v3, which has some insanely realistic voices. So this is, again, why you might opt for something like ElevenLabs, but it's just a note there. Multi-voice support. So this is a new feature with the V2 Conversational AI. We can add multiple voices in our conversation. So here we have Eric, right? Now, perhaps we're doing a role play scenario or any different application that may require multiple speakers. This is typical for like game dialogue and narration and things like that. We can switch between voices. Moving on, we can use Flash for really low latency use cases. You can turn this off or on. And TTS output format. So because I'm playing out of my speakers, I might bump that up a bit, but typically you're going to want to choose PCM 16,000 Hertz. Pronunciation dictionary, we don't want to worry about that. Let's turn off streaming latency because sometimes within a browser environment, this may mess it up. As far as the voice goes, let's go ahead and save that. Now, analysis, we have two things: evaluation criteria, data collection. I would recommend checking out my other videos or other videos pertaining to sort of server-side agent data. Put simply, evaluation is a high-level prompt which would determine whether or not a conversation was successful or not. There's no clear outcome here to the conversation we're having on our mock page, so this doesn't really apply. What we could implement here is data collection, but we have no endpoint we're sending it to. So data collection works like, for example, request. So a user may have a request on our website, and we can say the user's request or what they were looking for. So we can collect this data output under the identifier request, where based on the transcript of the conversation, we're going to populate this field with the user's request of what they're looking for. So perhaps when we have a conversation, I'm like, hey, I'm looking for pricing. Now our request identifier is going to be populated with the user was looking for pricing. And this can help by analyzing the interactions you're having as a business on your website. And we can add item, and this will be sent and extracted from the conversation transcript, and we'll be able to see that in our history tab. So we'll save that. Now for security, we can add things like authentication, where the user has to authenticate to interact with our agent. We can fetch some initial client data from a webhook, for instance. We've got a post call webhook as well. We're not going to worry about all this stuff. Under advanced, we've got a few more things that we're also not going to worry about. Okay. The main thing, because this is a web agent, we're going to have a widget here, and I'll just turn off authentication here. And this is where things get cool. So we're firstly going to want to reference our agent ID here, as well as our script source here as well. But before we copy these, let's get into how ElevenLabs enables us to change and edit the styling of our web widget down here. So you'll note here, sort of an expanded view. Firstly, we can change the interface. Do we want to have text input? Do we want to switch to text only mode? Do we want to display the conversation transcript during our web widget interaction? Yes. Do we have a language drop down? Can we mute during the call and things like that? This is all up to you. For now, I'm going to check these three. So we want to enable text input. We want to switch to text only mode as well. And we also want a copy of the conversation transcript. Now the appearance here, we can change from full, compact to tiny. I'm going to choose compact here. We can change the placement here as well. I'm going to keep bottom right, as well as the color we can change here. So I recommend playing around with this, having a bit of fun with it. But for now, let's just keep as is. What I'm going to do here is we're going to copy this embed code. Okay. And you're going to head over to the back end on where your website renders from. So if you have a website on Framer or Wix or Squarespace or something like that, you'll be able to embed code blocks within your website. If you built it yourself, you'll be able to follow along real easily here, but don't worry, I'm going to demystify this and explain it as best I can. So when you have created an agent, and let's just start a call just so you can see what it sounds like, the one we had just created.
Hello, how can I help you today?
Yo, man, what's going on?
I'm doing well, thanks for asking.
Cool. Sounds good enough. Let's copy this. And now we're going to head over code side to how to embed this in your website. So now that we have that, we just need to add it to our website. So this is really simple. All we need here is the agent ID. So we can go ahead and copy that. And then we're going to head down to the description of the code base I provided. Now, in my example, I just have a simple web page. We have the booking page, the index, which is the home page, as well as pricing. Now, I've got a setup here that will run you through how to implement this for any type of site, whether you're using Wix, Framer, vanilla HTML, CSS, anything like that. Just follow this setup markdown file and you'll be able to do this. But to explain what you need to do is you'll have a script, conv.ai-tools. All we're going to have to do here is paste in our agent ID that we just copied, save that, and to showcase this working, all I'm going to have to do now is run this so I can serve this server on a local host. And you'll see our pop-up widgets here. We have all our paging on our basic site here, so nothing special. If I start a call, accept, and we'll interact with the agent we had just built.
Hello, how can I help you today?
Hey, can you direct me to the pricing page, please?
Absolutely. Opening our pricing page now. The pricing page details our starter.
Yeah, cool. And can you direct me to booking page?
Got it. Opening the booking page now. The booking page allows you to schedule a 15-minute chat with a voice agent expert.
There you go. It's as simple as that. Now, the code I had provided, all you have to change here is the values that are required. We have an optional tab here, which is changing the ability to open these new web pages or whatever web page in a new tab. I recommend doing it. Otherwise, the conversation sometimes cuts off. Another thing here to mention is you'll probably want to put your base URL. Now, I've set this up to auto detect, but sometimes it won't work. So you might want to put your base URL here. I've got an example here. So perhaps it's my site, framer.app/something. Just put that in here. And then you're going to download this and then add it to whatever site builder you have. Again, following the setup markdown instructions. It is as simple as that, and this showcases really how interactive web agents can actually be and how much more powerful having a tool like this is when it comes to user experience. So that is it for today. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like, comment below. It helps me out and it lets me know I'm doing a good job. If you're looking to stay ahead of the voice AI curve, I recommend subscribing. I upload weekly with these sorts of videos. But that is it for today, guys. Until next week.